right, guys, share this around. We're just live trading today. No special guest. Unfortunately, we'll be back with the regular programming next week, but we are doing some live trading. James and I, masters of trading, we're going to see if we can help you learn and trade with Maven. Tune in. Right, guys, check. We're back. James with the shades on. He looks like he's a poker player this morning. Yeah, you're not going to read any of his moves. Cool. So as usual, we'll pick somebody from the audience that asks a decent question. There's no specific topic today. So if you guys have any questions about your trading style, our trading style, trying to learn a little bit about how you can improve trading with prop firms, specifically Maven, of course. Maven is the recommended prop firm that we do here, of course. Then shoot it in the comment section. We'll be answering questions along. We got about 45 minutes of your guys' time. And what we're going to do is we're just going to check out the charts right now. Market is absolutely pumping up. It's actually being a bit should we put our cameras like this maybe, or let's do it like this. Market's absolutely pumping up after a little bit of a dump this morning. It's been a little bit of a time since we've actually looked at the charts together. I've just got a quick kind of range maybe drawn of what's majorly significant for the NASDAQ for us this morning. And we are at the all-time high currently testing. A little bit of uncertainty in the market right now for myself. What about you, James?
Yeah, so I actually had two longs this morning. I had the first long actually I just traded on a personal trading account into CPI. And let me actually get my screen share up at the moment.
Yeah, totally. You took CPI this morning.
Yeah, so I actually got these longs. Yeah, sorry I think I'm sharing the screen in the back.
Yeah, here I'll set it up there.
Yeah, so this was into CPI. So this box over here, I like using opening range high, opening range low, and the New York session VWAP. But simple levels, dude. I like the whole of the overnight price here. We were basing out here. Simple level that I was looking at from a high time frame perspective too. And I had a long into CPI. I think I was up like 100 points on that. And then I actually took some nice longs on some of my futures accounts later on today. And I've been actually rocking these quite nice. You can see today I'm up $434 across 3 150Ks. I'm getting close to payout, and these are instant fund accounts. So I'm getting close to payout. Look at this, bro. I think you'll be stoked about this.
Wow.
Look at this. I haven't actually had a green day on this since I started these on the 21st of July, but not trading big. I'm trading like 15 to 20 macros on them on NQ or ES. I'm literally and look at that though. It's solid, consistent, and getting close to payout. So yeah, across the 3 accounts, I think it'll be about 10 grand payout. So yeah, it's been going pretty nicely. And then again, I'm not trading with a massive RR. My risk reward ratio is like under 1 actually, but I've got a high win rate. Right?
Yeah,
So,
that's really impressive. That's like a month of nonstop profit, and a lot of people think, that's really, really difficult to do. I see a lot of traders, 50-50 sort of thing. Some days, maybe they make a little bit more. but you're making like $500 average per day.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really solid. What's the account size on that one? 150K?
150K account, 150K account size.
Yeah, so you're just shooting for, kind of a minimum slow pace sort of thing. And this is kind of I interview a lot of traders, and I just had a quick podcast over the weekend, and they were saying the same sort of thing, is they like to trade pretty slow. Actually, they're using the prop firms, but they don't like doing, like, I like kind of just go and turn in accounts, but it looks like you're just really using super low risk, because that way you could potentially take 5 days of losers in a row. Hey,
correct. Yeah, actually, a cool thing about obviously Project X, you'll know this, Hunter. In the background, you can actually set like a max loss for the day. So I've got this actually, as you can see, set out. Sorry, this is a follow account. Let me go to my lead account. You can actually see that it's $1,000. And on this account, so I've been copy trading them, but some of the times I'll hit this. I think I hit this on this main account. I lost two trading days, and on the other accounts I went and traded and I had a winner. That's why on this account you can see I've actually had 2 losing days. But again, the RR is still at about 0.71. I've had 2 losing days here in the last month. So this is this month, and then last month I had $300 and $800. So nothing hectic. But I think as long as you have that max loss rule in place, like for me, it's $1,000 on these 150Ks.
Gotcha.
And I'm not trying to make the payout in one day. I'm just slowly getting it. If it takes a month, cool, I'm going to take out 10 grand in payouts. And then that's only on these 3 accounts. I'm obviously trading some other CFD accounts as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, Forex Pips wants to know, what is your strategy then? Let's break down, if you can give them a little bit of a highlight here.
So I'll speak about the trade that I took today. You can see I was up $434 across the 3 accounts. But basically, what I'm doing is I'm using the opening range, high and low, simple, and the New York session VWAP. So I like the longs. Your price of levels were looking very, very nice. Obviously, you guys know I bought it pre-market on a personal trading account that I made money on. And then on the break of that New York session VWAP back into the range, I took the stop loss of there, kind of rejection stop loss at the low. So basically like this. Okay, stop loss at the low, take profit at the high, and was actually full out over here. So that's my trading strategy. There's nothing really special about it.
Yeah, super, super simple. What's great about your strategy, which I love, is it's something that's relatively easy for a newer trader to kind of pick up, right? There's only 2 things you're really looking at. And that's the major thing with even the strategy that I use. Dumb money concepts here. It is complicated in some sense, but the reality is it boils down to two or three major things, right? And if you get too many confluences, it makes it too difficult to make decisions. So let's talk. You say you're using like 1R sort of setups.
Sometimes less, like you saw over there, like 0.8. But I'm not really actually, Hunter, like I'm not really like saying, okay, I'm aiming for 1R on this trade or whatever like that. I'm actually going to take a long here on the DAX. Yes, I actually do like these for longs.
Yeah, let's look at the DAX, right?
Yeah, let's see. I still like this level for long, so let's just see. But yeah, basically, I'm not really coming into the day or trade and saying, listen, I'm targeting 1R or whatever it is. I'm like today I was up $400. I'm like, listen, I'm up $400 across 3 accounts, and I had some wins on some CFD accounts this morning. I'm gonna lock it up. There's no point for me to try and push. I don't really need to. But you can see my average win to loss ratio is 0.71, and on these 150K. So I'm sometimes really like scalping. Like I'll add into my positions and everything like that. Someone's asking which currency pairs are currently demonstrating the strongest momentum. Personally, for me, I got into trading, and I'm sure you as well, Hunter, like where you're trading a lot of currencies. And I only trade stock indexes now, mainly the DAX and the NASDAQ or S&P 500. I think currencies can sometimes be super choppy.
Yeah. Currencies really range throughout the day. If you're more of a range-based trader, you probably don't want to be using so much of the momentum play. But yeah, Bitcoin, NASDAQ, ES, DAX, gold even. Gold is a little bit slower of a play, I think. But if you want really, really strong momentum, you want the New York Open, you want the indexes and whatnot. And a lot of people really love Bitcoin. I don't know your take on Bitcoin. I'm not a fan of day trading Bitcoin just because, the levels aren't respected as well as, the indexes, right? Indexes have so much volume coming in.
Yeah.
What's your experience trading Bitcoin?
I've traded Bitcoin a little bit. I do agree. It can be super volatile as well, and also obviously like you can get wicked out quite heavily. I think personally you're probably better off like not trading leverage on Bitcoin because you can also, as I said, it's just super. I think the best things to trade are stocks or indexes. Personally, that's just my opinion. And so, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would be holding Bitcoin more long term. I'm going to switch back to my chart here. I'm looking at Bitcoin right now. Let's look at Bitcoin from Coinbase, just because I like looking at where some people. This is an interesting kind of reflection. Is they ask which exchange or which broker should you be looking at? And what I like to do is, where does that asset originate from? We have a couple options here. MBT, one, that is the rolling futures contract for Bitcoin, right? I prefer looking at Coinbase because Bitcoin is a crypto asset, right? So we look at a crypto exchange, the biggest crypto exchange. That's going to be your most accurate data. And you're going to notice that if I jump to, say, the 4-hour here, and then verse it the 4-hour on the futures exchange, it looks a little bit different. This looks a little janky. There's a lot of gaps, difficult to read. Whereas, Coinbase a little bit cleaner. You might get a better reading on that, better levels.
And that is the thing compared to the futures, you're getting different pricing for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, if I'm on the NASDAQ, I'm going to be trading the NASDAQ on the futures for sure, right? That's what I'm going to be looking at. And even if I'm trading on, a CFD firm like Maven, I'm looking at the futures contract because that's the most accurate. And I'm literally just getting stopped out on a micro right now. Just playing around with a short just off of this range. Just because, this is what I was seeing this morning is, hey, look at this 4-hour rejection, crazy strong rejection. So I was just hoping that, as it came up, it would come back down. But we know that, as your strategy is telling you, the rally is really strong. We're going for the new highs. Are you currently in a long right now?
Not in the NASDAQ, on the DAX. So just on some CFD, because I've already locked up my futures accounts for the day. I like the longs on the DAX, and obviously the DAX moves pretty similarly to the NASDAQ.
Yeah. Now, what's your experience with, because this is now the New York session, DAX is more of a London session. I guess it's the close of the London session coming up now. Does it slow down at all?
It does in the New York session, but I still find that there's momentum. I mean, you obviously the DAX tends to lead, will follow American markets. So like I've had some nice New York session trades on the DAX simply because particularly on a CPI day, sometimes like stuff can be volume can be waiting for CPI to come in, and then the DAX picks up afterwards.
Totally. Yeah, cool. So we got another question from Kat. How do we recognize a breakout is not a false move? My answer for this is I look for the closes, right? This is exactly why, I thought that potentially, we could play around with a short. It is difficult to short. I got to be honest with you guys. When the market is absolutely booming like it is right now, it's not very smart to be shorting. But you could play with things when, hey, look at that giant wick. Usually wicks to me mean that's a fake out, right? We attempted to make new highs. We failed to make the new highs. Now, literally, the great thing about taking shorts like this is if you're shorting in this range, this is your opportunity, and you get those opportunities of 3-hour trades. And all you need to do is say, hey, I only need a 30-40% chance to win this, and I'm going to be making profit, right? I don't need to be right every single time on a trade like that.
Correct. Yeah, I guess if you are trading for higher RR, then for sure.
Yeah, you can lose more. Now, if you are shooting for those 1-hour trades, I prefer the 1 sort of hour trades the same. I found a lot more success that way when because then the win rate goes up. And we have another question from T God here. I know I like to see T God in here a lot.
Sure.
Always with some really good questions.
I do avoid emotional trading after big win or loss. I think sometimes just to get off the charts help a lot, and I actually think I tweeted a little bit about this morning, but not putting we always speak, I think we've spoken about this so many times on the podcast here, but now that we live trading as well. By the way, I am in those DAX longs, just to
You're in the DAX long, hey?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I'm out of the NASDAQ longs on the futures account, so I'm in those
Let's
DAX longs.
check.
But I think from a perspective of like not putting your emotional attachment to like your identity to your wins or your losses, otherwise you're just going to be kind of like all over the place,
Yeah. So we do have, I'm just going to chart out the DAX here, how I would chart out the DAX, because I haven't looked at the DAX in ages. We are above, I'm just going to draw kind of a couple levels here. You can see, these are maybe significant levels on the higher time frames, and I like using monthlies and weeklies. And you're going to notice potentially that, hey, look at that. We actually dove back down into, that zone. And some people might say, hey, this is the FVG from ICT or whatever, right? Whatever means you have to finding that level, that's perfectly fine. Maybe I'm using the monthly and weekly. I'm going to draw it a little bit lower here even too, because that's the level there. And then you can see, it goes right down to it. And then rallying back up, and you're not necessarily able to break that level, that zone that we're looking for. So I'm liking this more or less, right? And then you can see, okay, kind of the wick coming up. That's not closed yet, as Kat was asking earlier, is like, how do you know if this is going to be a fake out, right? Well, if we can see a really nice close here and failures to break kind of this zone on the daily, then DAX is probably going to shoot up over the coming days and then shoot for those new highs. What do you find easier, James? Do you like, for some reason, I struggle with all-time highs.
Yeah, I mean, because obviously you use quite a lot of levels and that type of stuff. I could definitely see where you're coming from with that. I think from a perspective of like for me, I'm just reading what price is actually doing in front of me. Like if I'm above VWAP intraday and price is looking bullish, I'm looking for longs. It's as simple as that. It's not the strategy that's going to make the trader. So like I could see from a perspective though of like, if you're looking at levels and everything like that, and we are at all-time highs like we are on the NASDAQ right now, you can, I'm sure like a lot of traders that are looking to the left of them could struggle 100%, like because there's nothing to the left of you, obviously, because you had all-time highs. But I think from a perspective of like intraday, like for me right now, like NASDAQ was bullish intraday. CPI came in, was bullish. Price action was bullish. I guess we had the sell-off into the open, and then it kind of held. Particularly as like a scalper or day trader, whatever you want to call it, I don't really care what's going to happen in 3 hours time. I'm all about what's happening now and then, and just reading and reacting what's in front of me.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that there's so many difficult challenges when it comes to day trading, and it's just another challenge to say, hey, I don't know where this is going to end. Like if I'm looking at the NASDAQ versus the DAX right now, the only possible level we could have looked at for potentially for a short side was this zone, somewhere in this zone. Now there's literally nothing above, right? So you could, let's say you're in a long here. I think the reality is you're sitting in a trade until there's a reason not to be in that trade, right? Because there's zero level to get out. So potentially you could just let this run forever. What you might want to do is look at the lower time frames, see how things are consolidating, and then breaking down. Maybe there's going to be some sort of distribution pattern. The very common one people see is a range being built, right? And then that liquidity hunt that people like to look for there, the failure to make new highs, as I call it, or liquidity hunt, right? And then coming back down. And that's going to be your kind of your indication. Usually a lot of charts look like this, really. That's like this is like the standard reversal sort of pattern, Wyckoff sort of thing that everyone.
For me, like Hunter, like, and I think you'll know this as well from obviously trading, is like, it's all what happens in the moment. Like it doesn't really matter what happens or what's going to happen. Dude, I could be in the trade for like on the futures. I find that I'm more scalping compared to like the CFDs, where I'll take a trade and I might last like an hour or two. Whereas like the futures, I'm actually like, I'm finding I'm scalping a lot more. Like I could be in a trade for like 2 minutes. Then I don't really care what's happening in 20 minutes time. If I'm up on the day and up and I'm locking myself out and I'm taking that, I think it also helps a lot from an emotional perspective, because I'm not sitting on the charts all day, every single day, shit, like what the hell's happening? You know, and I think that's why I don't know for you, but like at least for everyone here, we got into trading to make money in the shortest amount of time possible.
Yeah.
Like if I can make $1,000 in 10 minutes, well, that's what I'm going to do. You know, could I make more money? Yes, but some days I could go and give that back, you know? It's like I see that, you know, a lot of this as well online is like you'll work for a whole day to make $200, but you'll be up $200 in 5 minutes and won't take profits.
Yeah. That's a really funny insight. I would warn viewers and say, hey, you know, they might misconstrue what you're saying and say, you know, maybe the less time in the market is better. And that's not necessarily right, because, hey, maybe they're just going to come in and be like, okay, it's rallying. Let's just throw down a huge lot right now, and then just try to scalp, right? And that might work some days. But the reality is, you know, you have to wait for that perfect opportunity rather than, you know, trying to make the shortest amount of time possible. I see what you're saying, and, you know, remove as much time in the market as possible without sacrificing your strategy.
Yeah, I'm not saying come in and full port it. I'm saying like, okay, if you're on, like, if you're taking good risk, if you're on a 100K account, live funded account with Maven, whatever the hell it is, and you're up a couple $100, just take it. You know, I don't know. That's just my if you see it.
Yeah, that's decent advice. Yeah, let's see. So we had a question from Zanchi. Determining your was it Zanchi? Yeah, determining your was it stop loss position? How to select the optimal stop loss levels? Yeah, for different market conditions. Now, my answer on this is silly. I kind of put my stop loss.
You say you have no stop loss though.
Yeah, sometimes I use one. It's honestly, it's different every single time. Like when I took this short here, I knew that there's a decent chance that we kept rallying, because this was a really, really strong rally coming into the open. There was that little bit of fake out to the downside. So, you know, I took a little bit of a gamble here, and I said, you know, I do need to manage my risk here. Sometimes, though, what I'll do is I'll say, hey, the actual stop loss I want to do is probably right around here, right around those highs. So sometimes I just double it, right? And then that gives me the space to work with, and then I can determine, hey, once I see these closes, okay, I'm going to get out, right? So now I see that close, it's probably going to continue up. That's really strong bullish momentum, and then we can get out. Right? You know, do you have different places to put your stop loss depending on the volatility of the market, or depending on?
I think that's more like the nice thing with CFDs. If you want to risk $1,000 with a 10-point stop, you can do that. If you want a 100-point stop, you can do that as well. So I think that is the thing that CFDs are quite nice on. With futures, you'll have to lower the size. Like if you want a 100-point stop on the Nasdaq, you're probably gonna have to trade like one micro. But I kind of just have a dollar-based risk personally, and I'm like, listen, this is how much I would like to risk. You know, if it moves against me that much, I'll probably cut it. But going according to market structure, like you know, if I'm buying it, I want it underneath high lows. If I'm selling it, I want it above high highs.
Now, what's interesting about that methodology is, you know, if you're just using a dollar-based stop loss, you know, it allows you to have a position on the chart, a stop loss position on the chart that's completely random, pretty much, right? You know, a lot of people, you know, they'll put, you know, they'll do, and I'm kind of seeing something happen right now. This yellow line is the all-time high, the wick of the all-time high, and it looks like it's, you know, failing to close above there. So potentially, let's say, for example, you know, I took this short here, right? And I got stopped out because I put a stop loss right behind that level. Hey, maybe that's where all of the longs wanted to exit, right? Is the new highs, right? So, or, you know, if you're viewing it as manipulation or whatever it is you're viewing it as, you know, that's a very obvious level where there's going to be stop losses. And if you say, hey, that's only $50 and I'm willing to lose 75, well, maybe I'm going to extend it a bit, and maybe I'm going to be able to stay in that chart. And your stop loss is not going to align with where other people's targets are, and where, other people's stop losses are, right? So I'm just curious if this is potentially going to come down anytime soon. But I'm going to sit out of it for now and maybe come back in, after lunch, and just after more things have kind of panned out. Good question from Zen.
Yeah, the Nasdaq. I mean, from those lows after CPI, after it kind of recovered after it rallied and then sold off again, and now we're back up 100 or 200 points. Pretty crazy, actually.
Yeah, let's look at the DAX. DAX is coming against you a bit.
Coming down, but you see, this is where I like to see if these. I got my stop loss kind of at like the lows there, like 100 points lower. So at the moment, I'm not really concerned about it.
Somewhere down here, hey?
Yeah, somewhere down there. Yeah, at those lows there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see if it wants to hold. I'm kind of obviously did have like a very bearish morning. So maybe trying to pick a little bit of a bottom. I don't know. Let's see.
What I'm seeing on the DAX right now is you've got this, kind of major level here, right?
Yeah.
And you're not getting what I would love to see is an hourly close back within that range, just because you've got this really tight channel. I guess not channel, but like, this little section here, right?
Sure.
And you are closing above these previous areas, but you're closing below there. So I'm not sure if you're going to come down, retest this area, or close back up here. Right?
Yeah.
So personally, I would like to wait or take a kind of a long and a safer position, where we can actually use, higher leverage, higher R, and then shoot for those highs that we're talking about, and then you can get that really, really awesome trade maybe. Do you ever shoot for runners?
Sometimes I might be like, okay, well, I'm gonna get off the desk and just put my stop loss at break even and try and leave a runner. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. I wouldn't say too often though, but like if I'm in like on a trade like this, right, where it's like I'm actually buying it, maybe this is kind of like a pullback trade, if you want to call it that. It's not like I'm not trying to take I'm not taking a breakout trade like the Nasdaq was today. The DAX has been moving down today. I'm trying to buy it like quite low. And I'm in at a good price, and maybe like it's running quite nicely for me. I might leave might take off like an amount, but I do prefer to be like either full in or full out. That's just how I kind of trade. So I very rarely leave like a 50% of my trade on top vibe.
I share that idea with you too. Really common question from Mr. Sajib. How do you deal with losing streak? I hear this probably every single day I stream. And a lot of questions like this, guys, you already know the answer. And there's nothing more, like, unless you're brand new into this world and, this is the first stream you're watching, I'm pretty sure you already know this answer. And there's a lot of questions like this that people want the reality of life to be different. And the reality is, if you're losing money, walk away. Right?
Yeah.
But we're all trying to, cover those losses. We're all trying to, fix the problem, right? Like if we're having losses, we're trying to fix, because we're everyone in the audience probably, you're trying to make solutions to creating a better life, right? And if you're losing money, that's a problem, and you're trying to fix it. So you're trying to fix it as fast as possible. And the reality of trading is, everything is like counterintuitive. You buy when you think you should be selling, and you sell when you think you should be buying. You do the opposite of what you think, right? And when you're on a losing streak and you're feeling like you need to fix it, what you need to do is nothing, right? What's your take on that?
Yeah. Trading's a funny game. Like, for me personally, I find, well, this is what I see is like when you're taking wins, you want to kind of like tone it down, and when you're taking losses, you want to get off the desk. But I think you should be pushing when you're hot and cooling off when you're cold. That's kind of like how I see it. But we, as humans, we want to do the opposite. I think if you're running hot, you should be pushing.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm of the opinion of doing the exact same thing. I mean, you can take a break, right? But I wouldn't even say pushing necessarily, because then you're trading you're changing whatever's been working, right? Let's say you're on a winning streak, right? Oh my gosh, wow, what a wonderful time. We're on a winning streak. Should we be trading more? Personally, I would say no, do the exact same thing, because if that's what's working, why change anything? Don't do more. Just keep, you take one trade a day and you've been doing that for, a month long, like you've been doing or whatever. Don't take two. That second one might mess up,
I agree. It's amazing. Yeah, I agree. Like if you've been doing something that's working for a month, it's like all of a sudden we want to come and change it. I've sat on a few calls with guys that I coach, and they're like, I'm like, dude, what you're doing is working. What you're taking 2 trades in a day, you're winning. Now all of a sudden you're trying to take 9. What the hell are you doing? Like just chill out. It's like you're changing what's been actually working for you. Why would you do that? No, because I saw someone on the internet making 5 times the amount of me. Well,
yeah,
that's cool, but this is you. Like you got to do what works for you.
Yeah. It's a really difficult space because, there are some traders that are incredible, right? And when you're comparing yourself to them, these traders have been doing this for like 20 years, right?
Yes, correct.
It's really, really difficult because, you're trying to follow and do what they're doing. But the reality is, until you've been doing this for 20 years, you're not going to be able to handle it, right?
Yeah, I think sometimes, like also the traders that have been doing it for 20 years, it's kind of tough to also like teach intuition. If you're trading a backtested strategy and you like that, a algo can basically trade for you, then that's different. Like these are rules. This is a backtested, proven formula over time. But if you're if you're a discretionary trader trading off intuition, it's kind of hard to sometimes teach something to someone that's been only the game can teach you the game. That's personally like if I see something on a chart and I'm like, I like this and I make money from it, and then I have to kind of explain it. I'm like, well, I just felt like, okay, this is maybe why for these certain reasons, but it's kind of hard to sometimes put into words,
Yeah, cool. Let's look at, I know people love gold. So let's just quickly look at gold. Major wicks on the top side here. I'm going to completely clean up this chart because, it's been a while since we've actually looked at any live trading charts. So let's just clean it up because that might be a mess there. But you're getting these massive wicks, and on that monthly candle, potentially, we are breaking down, potentially, massive wick on the upside there, which means, gold might start selling off soon. And I know a lot of people have been sitting in gold for the better part of 2 years now, right? And it's done nothing but going up. There are times where gold goes sideways, right, or slightly down, right? And that might be one of these times coming up. Is maybe it comes slightly down, consolidates a little bit lower, and then gathers more buyers right around that 3K range. Let's look at the weekly. Consolidation, nothing major.
Look at that chart.
Showing here, but we are getting that again wick on the upside there and breaking down on the daily. So gold to me, if I had to give a guess, it'd be safer to wait for price to come back down before getting in on something.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously just been moving quite heavily to the high side. Gold for me, I don't know. I've never really got into trading gold personally. I know a lot of guys from a broker's perspective as well, like gold is definitely the most traded asset. And probably from a firm perspective too. I've just personally never got into it. You got to find what works for you. Sometimes gold works for your strategy and the style that you like to trade. It's never been something for me personally.
I'd say probably more than 50% of traders primarily trade gold. Which is interesting because neither of us have ever touched it, and I'm sure it would work fine for our strategies. But a lot of people ask, why do you trade only the Nasdaq? You could have all these other options, all these other pairs, and I just think about it. It's like, why do I need anything more? If Nasdaq is working, right? Then sit on that. Like I don't. The human intuition is to, hey, I want more all the time, right? And just sit on your hands. It's unnecessary. Yeah, right. It's a wild skill, and the reality is, if you just do one thing really well, you're gonna get more. You're gonna get better at the Nasdaq. You're gonna get better at gold, whatever you're trading. Yeah.
Well, personally, I mean, that's something that I've been I've changed quite a bit in my trading as well. Kind of like when I've last like couple months as I've just been because you guys have seen I've been I used to come on streamers and say, I'm trading a little bit of Bitcoin, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I've really only been trading the DAX in the London session and one of the US indexes in the New York session. That's all I've really kind of been doing. And I think it's been working, pretty well. I've taken out quite a nice few amount of payouts in the last 2 to 3 months since doing that, over 25 grand. So it's been working good for me, and I'm just trying to scale now. I think it's easier to scale as well when you kind of focused. If you all over the place, there's always going to be a trade happening.
Yeah. If you really understand one asset, you're always going to know where it's going to go pretty much. You're able to take a trade on the DAX, multiple times a day. Somebody was asking earlier, how many trades is too many per day?
I don't think obviously if you're trading like 10 times a day and you're not making money. I know some guys that take 25 trades a day. He scalps, he micro scalps on NQ on futures, and he makes every single time he trades about a $20,000 personal trading account. He makes consistently between $1,500 to $2,500 a day on average, and he takes 25 trades a day. But that's his style, and that's how he does it. I mean, he's an insane trader. One of those consistent traders I've ever met.
Well, what you basically just said is he makes $100 per trade, right?
And yeah, correct. $100 100%. He makes $100 a trade, but he trades 25 times a day.
Yeah, and what I want to tell traders, hey, you probably don't want to do that. That's super exhausting.
Yeah.
If I were to give a realistic answer to that, I would say, hey, don't take more than one trade per hour or two, right? So if you're actively sitting on the chart for eight of the full hours, whatever it is I'm not sure if it's 8 hours that it's even open. I actually never did that math. What is it, 6:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. or something, right? So it's like 6 or 7 or 8 hours, something like that. It wouldn't make sense to take more. There's a reason why people say 3 trades a day, is because you do a couple trades on the open and then maybe one more later, right? Because it is super exhausting to sit in there.
Yeah, I would say, as I said, like if you're up after the first hour of trading on the NASDAQ or S&P 500 or Dow, whatever you're trading, or DAX in the London session, just pack it up there, come back the next day.
Yeah. Biggest mental trap that experienced traders fall into. I got an all right answer for this if you want to jump in first.
Because I think from a perspective of experienced traders, I think sometimes comparison, because you've been doing this, you're making money, maybe you want to start making more money and you start seeing shit online.
Yeah,
probably that could be one. I don't know. That's just my experience.
But it's funny. My answer is the exact opposite. Actually, would be ego. Right? Is being too cocky. Like he's specifically saying experienced trader. So I'm assuming experienced trader means, hey, I'm making money, right? And when you start, experimenting with more things, there's no need. We were talking about this a moment ago. There's no need to go crazy trying all these different things. If you got something that works, keep doing that. And it's something that I find oftentimes I start going a little bit too far with my strategy and I have to keep pulling it back. This is what I know works. There's a couple little rules that I know work. Don't do anything different, right? And that slowly makes money over time.
Yeah.
That DAX trade coming down a little bit.
Yeah, coming down a little bit. But I feel like if we can hold this level here, I might actually look to add into it.
Yeah, we're what did I have? Yeah, that was that monthly level there. So they're looking for support off that monthly, right? Currently, right? And if it does look solid here. I would say that is not too bad of a setup for a long, for myself even. And again, you got rallying off this 30-minute level here. Let's look at the 15. How did the 15 close? Yeah, not something I'm super versed with, but it does look all right.
If this can rally like 50 points, 100 points, it's nothing too massive, and I'll probably be out the trade. But I do like it from a perspective now. We're trading above. Yeah, let's see how it moves in the next hour. I got my stop loss back down at 2,400, which is 50 points lower where we are right now. So let's just see.
Yeah, let's look at Let's look at Bitcoin. We were talking about Bitcoin a little bit earlier today. I'm I'm in the boat that I'm going risk off a little bit again, because every time Bitcoin pumps, I'm getting fearful that we just pumped up another 15 grand here recently. Again, I'm in a risk off approach. We've had these breakdowns. We've got this giant wick on the upside, right? And then even yesterday, you had this giant failure, right? And what I'm looking at is, hey, I think people are exiting now. And whether that means, a start of the bear market and it's coming down to 50K, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it looks risky for me to be holding the top. So I'm just de-risking a little bit. And I love posting on Twitter and, saying it's the top, because people like to engage. And, yeah,
people, you get people chatting for sure.
Exactly. What about yourself? Are you holding Bitcoin?
I do have a little bit of Bitcoin. Yeah, and I wouldn't say it's like my biggest holding by any means, but I normally focus on I normally just focus on making money day trading, and I put it into long-term portfolios where like managed funds or ETFs, managed ETFs, that type of stuff. Some in stocks like Tesla and that type of stuff, but I mean, the whole day trading inherently is quite risky. So, once you make your money day trading, you would like to offset it with a little bit of like longer term, like more stable stuff.
Totally. Yeah, that's actually an interesting topic right there. Is, what do you do with your day trading profits aside from, if you got living expenses?
Yeah. I personally, as I said, like I think putting it into like longer term managed funds, ETFs is probably like the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Because I think I see a lot of guys, and this is just me personally, if you're trading with prop firms, which I like doing, if you make money from prop firms and you put it directly into a personal trading account, well, now you double risking it. You're now trading prop firm account and you got personal trading accounts in there. So I would say, like, yes, it's good to have a personal trading account, but don't put it all into it. Put some into, because you're going to have to pay taxes if you're operating as a trust business, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
And then putting into longer term, de-risk it into longer term, unleveraged portfolios.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I've got, and then you're just maybe wait for retirement or.
You wait, maybe you put it in for like 25 years. You got a goal. So once it reaches maybe a certain amount, you're like, listen, I'm going to take it out because I want to put it in. I'm just going to bank it, whatever it is. Speak to, again, like I'm not a financial advisor, speak to your financial advisor. But personally, for me, what I do, what I want to do with my money is I make my money day trading, and then I de-risk, I put it into longer term managed funds.
Yeah. I've got one trading friend that what he does is he's got a retirement trading account that he just grows that account and never withdraws from it, right? He put in
that's smart.
He put in 10 grand, he trades with that, and then he has his other account that he lives off of. And then now that account is at like 300 grand, something like that, right? And slowly that's growing over time, right?
I think that's pretty smart. So like he literally is just trading it for like longevity in mind. Yeah, exactly. Can make his 2% a month. He's going to beat what he gets in the bank. Perfect.
Yeah. Another friend of mine, what he does is he does the dividends game, which is similar to what you're saying. Is, any profits he might make from, because he has a rate, a 9 to 5, right? He does that, and then he does a little bit of investing, right? And then everything that he makes on that, he puts into dividends. So his goal is, he wants to be, I think he's, 27 or so, right? He wants to be retired and move to Thailand at 35 just off of dividends. So he's got a little bit of a different goal because he loves it over there. But
someone's asking, hey James, why do you wear your dark gloss most of the time? Does it help to hold your trades until TP or stop loss? No. Honestly, the reason why I wear my dark gloss most of the time is got a light behind me, dude. And sometimes sitting here for like 3 hours, it hurts my eyes, bro. It gives me a headache by the end of the day. Because you guys got to remember, it's already 10 to 6 in South African time of year in the evening. So, like for me, Hunter might have a light there and it's fine. But when it starts getting dark outside, like it is here in South Africa, and it's light, I mean, this thing can chow my eyes, bro.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. So just
my next position not looking too bad now.
Not too bad, eh? Let's look at We've got Kat asking another question. Ego versus overconfidence. It's the same thing to me. No, it's both will be, too much of a good thing to be detrimental to your portfolio, right?
Yeah. I saw that also, like, over how to stop yourself from over trading. I think it's just having loss limits in place, like we've spoken about. Have an amount every single day that you're willing to lose on the account. If you hit that, then you're done for the day. I think if you can stick to that and, like, you don't get blown out of the water, I think you can give yourself a good chance of staying intact. I don't know, what are your thoughts there, Hunter?
Say again?
Like, in terms of, like, over trading or overconfidence, I just say about sticking to, like, a loss limit. That's what I would say.
Yeah, over trading, overconfidence. Yeah, I mean, again, it's kind of those things where you have to keep pulling back. As an experienced trader, you have to keep checking yourself. And I think somebody was asking a question earlier saying, how do you stay disciplined, right? And the reality is, you have to have a disciplined life, right? It can't just be trading. You have to be,
Yeah, I
following a
agree.
routine. And as much as a lot of traders, they want to have that crazy luxurious travel bougie life. You can't really, as a trader, if you want to be a successful trader, and not just one of these flashy gurus online.
Yeah, you have to be honest.
You have to be quite zen. I've got a
Yeah,
question
I
here.
think I like that. That's why, actually, like, I don't really like traveling too much in terms of, like, for, like, I'm saying, like, a long time at once.
Yeah,
Because I'm trying to be in a routine. If I go off, then I must trade off my laptop, everything like that. I might not be able to be on the desk at the time that I would like, because I don't know, we've, as a family, might be going out to do something. So yeah, I agree with you. Traveling is nice. Don't get me wrong. We're going to be traveling at the end of this month again, and it's nice. But I think, like, for long extended periods at a time, I don't really like it. Like, can
yeah,
I still trade? I'll go away for like 2 weeks. Yeah, 100%. But I like to be in my my zone, basically, in my
yeah.
routine.
Yeah, it's interesting. We just kind of did like a month or two ago, we just did a huge trip. It was
Yeah.
like 3 or 4 months, right? And your time zone's all different, and when you're coming back, everything's a little bit odd again. And it takes, like, for myself, it sounds crazy. For myself, it takes over a month for me to settle into a routine, right? And actually, maybe that's normal, because I think it's supposed to be 21 days or something like that. So for me, it might take a little bit longer. And I've noticed that doing the regular streams early, 6 a.m. trading is it's not as nice as I remember, earlier in the year. So luckily for myself, right, we don't rely on trading as the income. We have Maven, and we have other means and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
But as somebody who is a full-time trader, traveling is a terrible idea, if that affects you a lot, right?
Especially now that you've been on a time zone where the open's like at 3 in the afternoon. I mean, it's gonna
Yeah.
be tough to wake up so early.
I had a question on the screen there a moment ago, from Fearful Trader. He said, "Have you ever had slippage work in your favor?" And it's interesting. A lot of people talk about slippage, and I think a lot of people actually. I ran a poll on Twitter. 50% of people don't know what slippage actually is. Just to see, I just wanted to gauge, like, what the understanding of slippage was. Slippage can work in your favor as equally as much as it can work against you.
Sure.
It is just the execution being different than the set price, and that's basically just coming down to where are the orders actually lying when when your order is executed. I'm not sure, I mean, I'm not sure if that made sense. Where are the limit orders lying when your order goes off, right? So if somebody places a limit order at the same time, in your favor, it'll fill the best possible position when you execute, right? Now there are other things that people get confused for slippages. One major one is volatility, right? The market can just move instantly, right? And that's not necessarily slippage. That's just a huge buy coming in, right? And then that causes the price to jump up really, really quickly, and that can cause slippage. But they're different things, right? So slippage in itself it can be for you and it can be against you. Normally, people won't notice when it's for you, though.
Yeah, well, never hear of that, because most people like to do is just complain. It's just the truth.
It's the easiest thing to do when it comes down to you know uh, managing your psyche. You know what I mean? It's very, very difficult to, you know, properly reflect in the trading market, right? Especially when it is a confusing industry to navigate. I'll be honest with that. And it does take a very long time to fully understand this stuff. Guys, that's our time. I think that's a good spot to wrap it up. If you are struggling with trading, that's what we're here for. And that's why we're helping you guys learn, teach you the little things here and how to actually properly trade on the chart.
What I want to do for next week, because obviously I'll let you know how my next trade goes. I like this rejection now based on the 5 minutes like that.
That's good.
But we'll keep you updated on that. Obviously, live trading. So we've given you a signal. Buy my signals.
There you go.
No, give us some ideas. Maybe send through or comment on the Maven pages what you would like to see. What topics you would like to cover. We here, but I think some live trading every Tuesday is as well pretty nice, because then we can just see what's actually happening in the current market conditions. But if you've had a good trading day, lock it up and get off the desk. If you've had a tough one, get some rest, and we'll see you on tomorrow. It's actually my birthday tomorrow, 27th birthday.
Oh wow, 27, man. I thought you were 40.
Yo, there's no hair, bro.
Yeah, right. We'll wrap it up there. Beautiful close from James. The winner of the 50K Maven challenge is Zanchi Dan. So open up a ticket in the Maven Discord. If you don't win today, of course, Maven is the best place to get yourself a prop account. You know, you can get funded with up to $100,000 and prices as low as $13. So maventrading.com if you guys want to check it out. We'll be back next week with probably a guest next week. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you Tuesday, 11 a.m. every single week. Ciao.